Harry Maguire's name was once a hope for Manchester United fans. The £80 million defender was supposed to solidify the backline, lead the team, and restore a broken defence. He was England's hero at the 2018 World Cup, a towering, reliable figure who scored a crucial header against Sweden, carrying his team to the semi-finals. Maguire was everything you'd want in a leader: confident, calm, and composed. Fast forward a few years, and Maguire has become one of the most criticised players in modern football.
But there was a player in the United Kingdom, in England, called Maguire, who was playing for Manchester United. Harry Maguire. He's a defender. He was tackling everybody and throwing his bodies everywhere, that he was seen as the best defender in the world. Manchester United went and bought him. He became the biggest threat at the center of Manchester United's defense, tackling Manchester players and giving assists to opponents. Mr. Speaker, when even the opponents failed to score, Maguire will score for them.
Fans mock his every touch. They question his ability to lead. He's been called a fridge, booed by his own supporters, and relentlessly targeted online. Add to that legal troubles in Greece, a bomb threat sent to his home, and a constant media circus, and you've got a career that could have broken even the strongest of players. But here's the thing about Maguire: he didn't walk away. Despite being stripped of the captaincy, benched for most of the season, and pushed toward the exit door, he stayed. Now, against all odds, Harry Maguire is slowly silencing his doubters. This isn't just a comeback, it's a statement. Maguire started at Sheffield United, where he was more than just a promising academy player. He was the backbone of their defence. Week in, week out, Maguire put in solid performances in League One, showing he was a level above the competition. He wasn't flashy, but his no-nonsense tackles, calmness under pressure, and aerial dominance stood out. Maguire made over 160 appearances for the Blades, consistently putting in 7 out of 10 performances, and sometimes higher, which didn't go unnoticed. In 2014, Hull City snapped him up for around £2.5 million. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a step up. He didn't walk straight into the first team though, he had to earn his place. And when he did, he started bossing it in the Premier League, even in a struggling Hull side. Remember those crunching tackles and blocks against the big boys? That's when people began to think, this guy could be something. Even then, Maguire was playing like a veteran, dribbling out of defence with surprising ease for a player of his size. Leicester City came calling in 2017, and Hull couldn't say no to £17 million. By now, Maguire was becoming one of those defenders who didn't just stop attacks, he started them. Under Claude Puel, Maguire fit perfectly into Leicester's counter-attacking system. He wasn't just a defender, he was a ball-playing centre-back, carrying the ball out from the back like a midfielder. And his ability to score from set pieces made him even more valuable. Maguire didn't just play well for England, he became a cult hero. His headed goal against Sweden in the quarter-finals made him a national treasure overnight. You couldn't walk down a street in England without hearing someone yell, "Slabhead." Fans loved him, and so did pundits. He was seen as one of the best defenders of the tournament, and suddenly, the big clubs were circling. Leicester knew they had a gem on their hands. They played it smart, refusing to sell him immediately, knowing his value was skyrocketing. Manchester City and United were both interested, but United went all in. After weeks of back and forth, United paid a world record £80 million for Maguire in 2019. And just like that, Maguire was at the theatre of dreams. He wasn't just signed to defend, he was signed to lead. Within months, he was named captain, becoming the rock United had been desperate for since Vidic and Ferdinand left. It felt like United had found their guy, and in his first season, he didn't disappoint. Maguire played every single minute of the Premier League campaign and helped United secure a third-place finish, the club's highest since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. For Harry Maguire, the bright lights of Manchester United quickly dimmed, and the weight of the captain's armband became heavier than anyone expected. His record-breaking £80 million fee wasn't just a number, it was a constant reminder to fans and pundits of what he was supposed to be. But as the results soured, so did the perception of Maguire. Let's talk facts. By the 2020-21 season, United fans were already divided on their captain.
Get rid of Harry Maguire! Get rid of Harry Maguire! He is shit!
Sure, Maguire had moments of solidity, but his lack of pace became a glaring weakness, especially in games where United faced counter-attacking sides. Remember the 6-1 humiliation at home against Spurs? Maguire was at the centre of it. His shocking miscommunication with Luke Shaw led to one of the goals, and his half-hearted attempts at defending made him look completely out of his depth. Social media erupted with memes and criticism, turning Maguire into a walking punchline. And it wasn't just club form. That same season, Maguire's off-the-pitch issues made headlines. During a holiday in Mykonos, Greece, Maguire was arrested after an altercation with local police. The news spread like wildfire. Manchester United's captain jailed after brawl. While Maguire maintained his innocence, claiming he was defending his sister, the damage was done. The tabloids feasted on the drama, and rival fans didn't hold back. Captain Calamity trended on Twitter. This was more than just a bad summer, this was the start of an unraveling. The following season, 2021/22, was a disaster for United, and Maguire became the face of it. With Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacked and Ralf Rangnick brought in as interim manager, Maguire's form hit rock bottom. You couldn't watch a United game without cringing at his mistakes. Against Leicester, he gifted Kelechi Iheanacho a goal with a horrendous back pass. Against Liverpool, he was run ragged in a 5-0 humiliation at Old Trafford, where the entire defence looked like a joke. The critics were merciless. Jamie Carragher called out his lack of awareness in one game, saying, "He's chasing shadows." A captain of Manchester United should never look this lost. Even Roy Keane, never one to hold back, questioned his leadership, saying, "Just because you cost £80 million doesn't mean you're good enough." The boos started to follow him everywhere. Whether it was at Old Trafford, away grounds, or even while playing for England, the jeers became deafening. During a friendly match against Ivory Coast in 2022, Maguire was booed by his own fans at Wembley. Gareth Southgate defended him, calling the reaction an absolute joke. But deep down, even Maguire must have known that respect was slipping away. Off the pitch, things weren't much better. Reports began to surface about unrest in the United dressing room, with claims that Maguire's captaincy was being questioned. Rumours swirled that Cristiano Ronaldo, who had returned to United, wasn't impressed by Maguire's leadership and wanted the armband. Imagine that. The guy brought in to lead the team was now seen as part of the problem. By the 2022-23 season, Erik ten Hag arrived as manager, and Maguire's situation went from bad to worse. Ten Hag initially backed him, but it didn't take long for the Dutchman to bench Maguire in favour of Raphael Varane and Lisandro Martinez. Maguire wasn't just out of form, he was out of the starting 11. From a guaranteed starter and captain to an occasional cup game defender, the fall was complete. And yet, Maguire never shied away from the cameras. In interviews, he defended himself, saying things like, "I wouldn't be here if I wasn't good enough." But let's be honest, those words felt hollow when his performances told a different story. This wasn't just a footballing crisis, it was a personal one. Maguire looked drained, both mentally and physically. The pressure of being Manchester United's captain, the constant abuse online, and the relentless scrutiny took their toll. Fans who once cheered for Slabhead were now calling for him to leave the club entirely. It was brutal, it was relentless, and for Harry Maguire, it was rock bottom. Harry Maguire was supposed to be finished. The fans booed him every time he touched the ball, they called him a liability, and his own club was openly trying to offload him. Yet somehow, against all odds, the same player who had become a walking meme is starting to remind people why he was once the most expensive defender in football. The FA Cup clash against Arsenal earlier this year was his redemption arc in motion. Maguire put on a defensive clinic, racking up 11 clearances and 5 crucial blocks, leaving even the loudest doubters in awe. Arsenal's attack, which had been relentless all season, couldn't find a way past him. He was everywhere, intercepting, blocking, heading balls away like his life depended on it. And for the first time in what felt like years, Harry Maguire walked off the pitch with his head held high, earning a standing ovation even in a hostile atmosphere. That game wasn't just about one performance, it was symbolic. It reminded people that Maguire, despite being dragged through hell by fans, media, and his own club, still had it in him. The narrative around him was brutal. He wasn't just criticised, he was mocked, humiliated, and made the face of everything wrong at Manchester United. A guy who was world-class for England in major tournaments suddenly became a scapegoat every time things went south at Old Trafford. But here's the thing, Maguire never stopped fighting. Even when Erik ten Hag stripped him of the captaincy, benched him, and openly entertained offers to sell him, Maguire refused to quit. He had the chance to leave last summer. West Ham was ready to bring him in, but he stayed, determined to prove his worth, and it's paying off. Under Ruben Amorim's new system, Maguire is thriving in a back three. The setup suits him perfectly, giving him the protection he needs while allowing him to focus on what he's good at, dominating aerial duels, breaking up play, and driving forward with the ball. He looks like a completely different player compared to last season. Of course, some of his struggles at United weren't entirely his fault. Andre Onana's shaky start as United's new goalkeeper hasn't helped matters, with soft goals and poor decision-making often leaving the defense exposed. But in recent months, Maguire's performances have silenced a lot of his critics. He's been reliable, commanding, and most importantly, unshakable. It's funny how football works. One year, you're the villain, a punchline in every pub and Twitter thread. The next, you're earning ovations for heroic performances. Harry Maguire has been through the ringer, booed, mocked, and written off, but he never gave up.